Listen to me very carefully. If you're making minimum payments on all your debts right now, treating them all the same, you are literally lighting your money on fire. I'm not exaggerating. I've watched people destroy decades of wealth building potential because nobody taught them the fundamental truth about debt. Here's the deal: not all debt is created equal. Some debt is quietly making you poor every single month, while other debt is actually a wealth building and tool. And I guarantee you, most of you watching this right now are paying off the wrong debts first. I've been saying this for years on Shark Tank, on CNBC, everywhere I go. Today, I'm going to show you exactly which three types of debt you need to stop aggressively paying down immediately and what you should do with that money instead. This one strategy has helped me build and protect generational wealth. Let me tell you something about myself. I didn't grow up wealthy. I built my fortune from nothing, selling software companies, investing in hundreds of businesses, managing money that now generates substantial passive income every single year. I've made every financial mistake you can imagine early in my career, and I learned from every single one of them. The biggest lesson, understanding the true cost of money. See, most people think debt is just debt. They lump their mortgage, their car payment, their credit cards, their student loans all into one ugly pile. And they throw money at whatever feels most urgent or whatever their parents told them to pay off first. That approach is financial suicide in slow motion. I'm going to tell you the truth today. And some of you aren't going to like it. Some of you are going to say, Kevin, that goes against everything I've been taught. Discover more video note-taking app videos. Facebook good, because what you've been taught is keeping you broke. Today, I'm covering 5 critical points about debt strategy that most financial advisors either don't understand or won't tell you because it doesn't sell their products. We're going to talk about the 3 specific types of debt you should stop aggressively paying down, the mathematical reasons why this strategy works, and exactly what you should do with the money you're currently wasting on the wrong payments. By the end of this video, you're going to have a completely different understanding of how money works. You're going to see debt the way billionaires see it, not as a burden, but as a strategic tool. And you're going to have a clear action plan to restructure your approach starting today. I've used these exact principles to build my own wealth. I practice what I preach, my portfolio, my companies, my investment strategy. It all revolves around understanding the true cost of capital and deploying money where it generates the highest return. So stop what you're doing. Pay attention. Take notes if you have to, because what I'm about to share with you could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime, maybe more. Let's get into it. Here's the first debt you need to stop throwing extra money at your low interest mortgage. And I can already hear people screaming at their screens, Kevin, my parents told me to pay off my house as fast as possible. I don't care what your parents told you. Your parents didn't understand the mathematics of wealth building. Let me be crystal clear about this. If you locked in a mortgage rate anywhere between 2.5% and 4% over the last decade, that is some of the cheapest money you will ever have access to in your entire life. Throwing extra payments at that debt is one of the worst financial decisions you can make. You want to know what I do? I never pay a single dollar more than I have to on low interest debt, not $1. And here's why. The S&P 500 has returned an average of roughly 10% annually over the long term. So let's do the math together because this is critical. If you have a 3.5% mortgage and you throw an extra $500 a month at it, you're essentially earning a 3.5% return on that money by avoiding future interest. But if you take that same $500 and invest it in a broad market index fund, historically, you're looking at 10% returns. That's a 6.5% difference. Over 20 years, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars you left on the table. I've seen this destroy portfolios. I've watched hardworking people sacrifice their retirement security because they were obsessed with paying off their house. They'd walk around saying, I'm debt-free, while their neighbors who understood leverage were building real wealth. Now, let me be specific about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying take out more mortgage debt. I'm not saying be irresponsible. I'm saying if you already have a low interest mortgage locked in, stop making extra principal payments and redirect that money into investments that generate higher returns. Here's the action step. Look at your mortgage rate right now. If it's under 5%, stop all extra payments today. Take that money, every dollar of it, and open a brokerage account if you don't have one. Put it into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund like VO or SPY. Set it and forget it. Let compound interest do what compound interest does. The wealthy understand that cheap debt is a tool. It's leverage. When you can borrow money at 3.5% and invest it to earn 10%, you're making money on the spread. That's how the rich get richer. That's exactly what I do. And here's what nobody tells you. You still have the cash. If something catastrophic happens, if you lose your job, if the market crashes, you have liquidity. You have options. The person who threw all their extra money at the end, mortgage, they have equity trapped in a house they might not be able to access without selling or taking out a new loan. Liquidity is oxygen for your financial life. Never forget that. Number two, and this is going to be controversial, stop aggressively paying down your federal student loans. I'm not talking about private student loans. Those are a different animal. I'm talking specifically about federal student loans with fixed interest rates, especially if you lock them in before rates climb. You know what makes me crazy? I see young people in their 20s and 30s throwing every spare dollar at their student loans while they have zero retirement savings. Zero. They're so focused on getting debt free that they're missing the most valuable wealth building years of their lives. Let me tell you something about compound interest. And this is essential. The money you invest in your 20s is worth dramatically more than money you invest in your 40s. We're talking about decades of additional compounding. Every dollar you invest at age 25 could be worth $20 or more by retirement. But if you wait until you're 45 to start investing because you are obsessed with paying off student loans, that same dollar might only grow to $4 or $5. Here's the deal. Most federal student loans have interest rates between 4% and 7%. That's not cheap, but it's also not the emergency that people treat it as. Meanwhile, your employer might be offering a 401k match that you're not taking advantage of. That's free money. That's an instant 50% or 100% return depending on the match. And you're leaving it on the table to pay off a 5% loan. I don't care what the personal finance gurus tell you. The math doesn't lie. Here's what I recommend. Make your minimum required payments on federal student loans. Never miss a payment. Your credit score matters. But take every extra dollar you were going to throw at those loans and do this instead. First, max out your employer's 401k match. Every single dollar. That's an immediate guaranteed return that beats any debt payoff. Second, build an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months' expenses. Third, then invest in tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA. Only after you've done all of that should you even think about making extra student loan payments. And even then, I'd argue you should keep investing instead. I've had entrepreneurs on Shark Tank tell me they can't invest in their own businesses because they're drowning in student loan payments. When I dig into the numbers, they're making double and triple payments trying to be responsible. Meanwhile, their business could be generating 20%, 30%, 50% returns if they just had the capital to invest in growth. This is financial insanity. You have to understand the opportunity cost of every dollar you spend. That's what separates winners from losers in the wealth building game. And let me add one more thing. Federal student loans have protections that other debts don't have. Income-driven repayment plans, potential forgiveness programs, deferment options if you hit hard times. When you aggressively pay them down, you're not just losing investment returns, you're potentially throwing away flexibility and even forgiveness opportunities. Stop it. Make the minimum payments, invest the difference, build real wealth. Third point, and this one surprises a lot of people, stop throwing extra money at low-interest auto loans. Now, before you send me angry comments, let me explain exactly what I mean and why the math supports this completely. If you financed a car at 2%, 3%, even 4% interest, you have cheap money. That dealership or credit union gave you access to capital at rates that are below historical inflation. In real terms, you're practically borrowing for free. Do you rush to pay that off? I'm going to tell you the truth. The reason people want to pay off car loans fast is emotional, not logical. They don't like the feeling of having a payment. They want to own the car outright. I understand the psychology, but psychology doesn't build wealth. Mathematics builds wealth. Here's what I do. When I finance anything at a low interest rate, I take the longest term available and make minimum payments every single time. And I take the money I could have used for a larger down payment or extra monthly payments, and I put it to work in the market. Let me give you a real example. Say you have a $30,000 car loan at 3.5% interest over 5 years. Your payment is around $545 a month. Now, some people would try to pay an extra $200 a month to knock it out faster. Over the life of the loan, that extra $200 a month totals $12,000 you've thrown at a 3.5% debt. But if you invested that $200 a month instead at an average 10% return, after 5 years, you'd have roughly $15,500. You made an extra $3,500 compared to paying off the car. And here's the kicker. After the car loan is done, you still have that investment account growing. The person who paid off the car early has nothing but a depreciating asset. This is non-negotiable in my financial philosophy. Cheap debt is not your enemy. Cheap debt is your friend when you understand how to use it. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. I'm talking about low-to-rest auto loans. If you're financing a car 8%, 10% because you have bad credit, that's a completely different situation. That's expensive debt, and you need to either pay it down or refinance it as soon as possible. I'm also not telling you to go buy an expensive car you can't afford. The car payment should fit comfortably within your budget. I'm talking about the strategic decision of whether to pay off cheap debt early. Here's the action step. Look at your auto loan interest rate today. If it's under 5%, make minimum payments only. Take whatever extra you were planning to pay and set up an automatic investment into a brokerage account. I recommend broad market index funds, VOVTI, something with low fees that tracks the overall market. Don't touch it. Let it compound. And let me address the people who say, but Kevin, what if the market crashes? Here's what I say to that. Over any 20-year period in history, the market has always gone up, always. Short-term volatility is noise. Long-term investing is signal. If you're investing money you don't need for 5, 10, 20 years, stop worrying about crashes and start worrying about the opportunity cost of not being invested. The wealthy don't fear cheap debt. They use it strategically. That's the difference between building wealth and just getting by. All right, number 4. I've told you what to stop doing. Now, let me tell you exactly what you should be doing. With all this money you're freeing up, because this is where real wealth gets built. Listen to me carefully. The money you are wasting on extra debt payments needs to go into assets that generate returns, period. Here's my exact hierarchy for where your money should flow. First, and this is absolutely critical, take every dollar of employer 401k match available to you. If your employer matches 50% up to 6% of your salary, you contribute at least 6%. This is free money. This is an instant 50% return on your investment. I don't care if you have credit card debt, student loans, whatever. You take the match first. Anyone who tells you otherwise doesn't understand basic math. Second, build your emergency fund. I want you to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high yield savings account. Right now, you can get 4% to 5% on savings accounts. That's real money. This isn't about returns. It's about protection. This is about making sure you never have to go into high interest debt when life happens. And life always happens. Third, max out your Roth IRA if you're eligible for 2025. That's $7,000 per year or $8,000 if you're over 50. The Roth IRA is one of the greatest wealth building tools in the American tax code. Your money grows tax-free. You pull it out in retirement tax-free. Over 30 years, we're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars that you'll never pay taxes on. That's real wealth preservation. Fourth, if you've maxed your match and your Roth, go back and max out your 401k. The limit for 2025 is $23,500. Every dollar you put in reduces your taxable income today and grows tax deferred until retirement. Fifth, and this is where I personally focus a lot of my energy, invest in dividend-paying stocks and ETFs. I want assets that pay me every single month or every single quarter. I want cash flow. Dividends are beautiful because they come whether the market is up or down. They're real money hitting your account that you can reinvest to buy more shares. In my own portfolio, I focus heavily on dividend aristocrats, companies that have raised their dividends for 25 years or more, names like Johnson & Johnson, Procter, and Gamble, Coca-Cola. These are businesses that have survived recessions, depressions, wars, pandemics. They keep paying and raising dividends through it all. I also use dividend ETFs like SGSD, VIMEMDGRO. These give you instant diversification across dozens or hundreds of dividend-paying companies. Lower risk, steady income, long-term growth. Here's the bottom line. Every dollar you are wasting on extra payments toward cheap debt could be working for you, could be generating passive income, could be compounding into serious wealth. When you understand the shift from debt elimination to asset accumulation, everything changes. I've been doing this for decades. This is how I built my wealth, not by paying off cheap debt as fast as possible, but by strategically deploying capital where it generates the highest returns. And now you know exactly how to do it too. And finally, number 5, I've told you which debts to stop overpaying. Now, let me tell you about the debt that is absolutely destroying your financial future, the debt you must eliminate with extreme prejudice. I'm talking about high-interest consumer debt, credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later schemes, payday loans. This is the debt that will keep you poor forever if you don't kill it. Let me be crystal clear. Everything I said in the first 4 points, it doesn't apply if you're carrying a balance on a credit card at 22% interest. That's not cheap debt. That's financial cancer. And it will metastasize through your entire financial life if you don't cut it out immediately. Here's the deal. When you're paying 20%, 25%, 29% interest on credit card debt, there is no investment on the planet that can reliably beat that. None. The S&P 500 averages 10%. Real estate might get you 8% to 12%. Even the best investors in the world, Warren Buffett, the top hedge fund managers, they're not consistently generating 25% returns year after year. So when you pay off a 25% credit card, you're effectively earning a guaranteed 25% return on that money, guaranteed, risk-free. There's nothing else like it in the financial world. I've seen this destroy people. I've had entrepreneurs come on Shark Tank with brilliant ideas. And when I look at their personal finances, They're drowning in credit card debt, $15,000, $30,000, $50,000, and they're making minimum payments while the interest compounds against them every single month. They can never get ahead because they're fighting a battle. They mathematically cannot win. Here's my strategy for eliminating high interest debt. And I want you to follow this exactly. First, list every high interest debt you have: credit cards, personal loans, anything above 8% interest. Write down the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum payment. Second, attack the highest interest rate first. I don't care about the balance. Some people say pay off the smallest balance first for psychological wins. I say that's nonsense. Mathematics doesn't care about your psychology. You pay off the highest rate first because that's what costs you the most money. Third, throw every available dollar at that highest rate debt while making minimums on everything else. Cancel subscriptions, cut expenses, pick up extra work. I don't care how you do it. Find the money and destroy that debt. Fourth, once the highest rate debt is gone, roll that payment into the next highest rate. This is called the avalanche method, and it will save you the most money over time. Fifth, once all your high interest debt is eliminated, never go back. Cut up the cards if you have to. Switch to a debit card. Do whatever it takes to never carry a credit card balance again. Now, I want to address something important. Some people hear my earlier points about not overpaying cheap debt, and they use it as an excuse to not pay off expensive debt. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you to be strategic. Low interest debt below 5% minimum payments, invest the difference. High interest debt above 8% scorched earth. Destroy it as fast as humanly possible. This is the nuance that most financial advice misses. Not all debt is the same. The interest rate determines everything. Once you understand this principle, you can make intelligent decisions about where your money goes. And here's something I want you to remember. Being debt-free isn't the goal. Being wealthy is the goal. Some of the wealthiest people I know carry debt, but it's strategic, low-interest debt that costs less than the returns they're generating on their investments. Meanwhile, some of the most broke people I know are technically debt-free, but have zero assets, zero investments, zero passive income. Don't confuse being debt-free with being wealthy. They're not the same thing. Focus on building assets, generating income, and using debt strategically. That's the path to real financial freedom. So there you have it, my complete blueprint for strategic debt management that most financial advisors will never tell you. Let me recap the 5 critical points we covered today. Number 1, stop aggressively paying down low-risk mortgage debt. If your rate is under 5%, make minimum payments and invest the difference. Your money works harder in the market than it does paying down cheap debt. Number 2, stop overpaying federal student loans. Make your minimums. Take advantage of income diver repayment if needed. And prioritize investing in your retirement accounts, especially capturing any employer match. Number 3, stop rushing to pay off low-interest auto loans. Cheap financing is a tool. Use it strategically and invest the money you would have used for extra payments. Number 4, redirect all this freed up capital into wealth building assets. Max your employer match, build your emergency fund your Roth IRA, buy dividend paying stocks and ETFs that generate passive income. Number 5, absolutely destroy high interest consumer debt, credit cards, personal loans, anything above 8%. Attack it with everything you have. This is the only debt that truly deserves your aggressive attention. Look, I've been building wealth for over 4 decades. I've made mistakes. I've learned hard lessons. And I'm telling you right now, that understanding the strategic use of debt is one of the most important financial skills you can develop. The wealthy don't think about debt the way average people do. They see it as a tool. They calculate the cost of capital. They make decisions based on mathematics, not emotions. Starting today, I want you to look at your debts differently. Ask yourself, what's the interest rate? Can I earn a higher return by investing instead of prepaying? Am I attacking expensive debt or wasting money on cheap debt? This one shift in thinking can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime, maybe millions. It's that important. Wealth isn't built by accident. It's built by strategy, discipline, and understanding how money really works. Now you have the knowledge. What you do with it is up to you. If this video opened your eyes to something new, hit that like button right now. It helps the algorithm show this content to more people who need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I've got more strategies coming. Next week, I'm going to show you exactly how I build a dividend portfolio that generates passive income every single month. You don't want to miss that. And here's what I want from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 5 points surprised you the most. Was it the mortgage advice, the student loan strategy? I want to know where you were before this video and what you're going to do differently now. Also, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Everyone's got a friend or a family member who's obsessing over the wrong debt. Send them this video. It might change their financial future. I'm Kevin O'Leary. Thanks for watching. Now go make your money work harder.